day 15 of my wellness challenge or commitment to wellness. I'm about 38 hours in actually on a fast, a 0-calorie fast. Just because there was no ripe avocados last night for my one meal and I couldn't decide what to eat, and then I was like, well, I've always wanted to do a longer fast, so why don't I try and push through? So I'm making no promises because this is new territory for me, but for now I am still fasting. So, hunger. Big question. When I'm normally eating a diet with sugar and various carbohydrates in it, like pasta or bread especially, I'm hungry in the morning, and I would say anywhere between like a 5 out of 10 to a 10 out of 10, and that sort of continues throughout the day. Once I adapt though to keto, and this time it was a slow adaptation because I kept, sneaking that glass of white wine or 2 glasses of white wine in the evening in my before the 15 days. The last 15 days I've had no carbs, no sugars, just greens and fish. And when I did cheat on Friday, I had vodka with a twist of lime and some club soda. So I think I slowly lost my water weight this time, and so there was no huge dramatic drop in weight. But the last 15 days, I think, because of having the odd alcoholic drink, non-sugar of course, it slowed me getting into full ketosis. So I was still experiencing, some hunger, but I would just eat, it was no big deal. But then in the last, I guess this is day 4 now of being in, full-on heavy ketosis. So my hunger now, the first day that I did a 24-hour fast, I didn't intend to, but I was just kind of like, yeah, I would feel it come and go throughout the day, but maybe like a 1 out of 10. So I find when I have excess fat to burn and I'm burning it, I'm just not having the same amount of appetite. Though now, that it's been 37 hours and it is, 8 o'clock in the morning, and I usually find, hunger is controlled by the hormone ghrelin, and it spikes at certain times of the day when your body's used to eating. So I noticed when we were starting our walk that I was maybe a 2 out of 10 on the hungry scale. So that covers hunger for now. I've never been this long into a fast, so I don't really know what the next hours are gonna hold, but I'll let you know. If you're interested in knowing if fasting is safe, I would say look into Dr. Jason Fung. He's a nephrologist, which is a kidney specialist in Toronto. And because of the nature of diabetes and its damage to the kidneys, he sees a lot of diabetic patients. He has written books, The Diabetes Code, The Obesity Code, and The Complete Guide to Fasting, all the ones I can think of. And because there is a correlation between obesity and diabetes, and I would also suggest that you look up and read about insulin and how it functions. It's the hormone that allows sugar to cross into many of our body cells that require sugar but cannot just freely let it in. It's almost like a key, opens the door. I would also check into the hormone ghrelin because it's responsible for making us feel hungry. And then I would also look into growth hormone and all of its wonderful functions, you know, like anti-aging, and it goes about and recycles and old, tired and damaged proteins and cells. So those are 3 really important ones to look into. And the relationship between insulin and growth hormone is inverse. So if insulin's out, growth hormone is not. So the only time growth hormone can come out is when there's been a certain number of hours of fasting. And I'm not entirely certain how many exactly. But I think if you don't eat after 7 and then you don't eat again until 7, you might be getting some effects in that period of time. And I mean, hey, back in the 50s, people used to eat dinner at 5 or 6 o'clock and then they didn't eat again till breakfast. Nobody died of starvation. So anyway, so if you are interested, if you think the idea of fasting is crazy, well, I mean, look at Ramadan, look at Lent. Various world religions, fasting has been a practice for I don't know how long, because I don't remember anything about history, but a really long time. Okay, cheers. Okay, topic number 2, energy levels. So in the beginning days, when I had changed my diet to mainly just fish and greens, and lentils, red lentils, I felt normal, but I wasn't really making any ketones yet. And then in the early stages, I went through quite a few days where I was just detecting trace ketones, and that's because the small amount of sugar that was in that white wine was enough to prevent me from going to the next stage. So now that I've been, well, I don't know how many days, but lots, without any sugars or carbs, I finally, this is day 4 where I actually got into real full-on deeper ketosis. I'm noticing it with the weight loss as well, because I'd been on a plateau and now I'm dropping. So in that transition period, because I'm not someone who tends to eat a lot of carbs, it wasn't as dramatic as the first time, like when I did Bernstein diet, and I thought I was dying. It's like horrible. It's almost like, so carb withdrawal is almost like you can't get out of bed, or you feel so ill. They call it the keto flu. Anyway, back then on Bernstein, nobody even mentioned it. I said, I can't come in this morning for my checkup. I feel so ill. I feel so weak, like I can't even get up. And they're like, okay, well, look in for tomorrow then if you feel better. It's like, really? And these were healthcare people administering this diet. And they did know that they wanted to put you into ketosis. So it's really odd that no one, not even on the doctor consult part, did they warn me, brief me that I could go through this keto flu. Anyway, because I don't have days and days of sugar or 36 hours of sugar stored up in my liver anymore, because I don't often let myself indulge to that point. So I didn't have super dramatic, but when I was kind of eating twice a day, so at 11 or 12, and then again at 6 or 7, in the 3 days before I went into total ketosis, I noticed that, it's the dog, I noticed that after my first meal, I would get really tired, and even to the point of nodding off, where I'd have to have a 15-minute nap. But then, so I guess it was day 11 or 12 now, I forget now, when I was detected a lot of ketones. I woke up, I had energy, still did my 5 or 10 Ks that day. Come on, Jules. So my energy's been good. I took 10 milligrams of melatonin last night for the first time in my life. Come on, Jules. And it helped me. So I still woke up in the night, but it helped me go back to sleep. And that may be why, you know, even though I woke up at before sunrise, 5 something this morning, that I actually didn't try to go back to sleep. I got up. So my energy has still been pretty good. I have to say going uphill on this walk was maybe a little more tiring than it has been in the last few days. So, but I've also never fasted this long on purpose and been in a healthy state and kept on my usual activities, you know, of the minimum 5K. So that's to answer the question of energy. Once in ketosis, my energy has always been really good, and it still is. So I still have quite a bit of excess body fat. You know, my BMI is still slightly above normal. So, I mean, it's not, I'm trying to figure out what's the difference between having eaten an avocado with olive oil, lemon juice, and some salt last night versus not eating at all. I mean, other than, okay, so maybe, so when you eat, especially if there's any carbs, they say if you eat fat, this doesn't happen as much, but you know, you release insulin so that it can deal with getting the sugar into your cells and sugar carbs and turning it into fat if there's any excess, you know, that you're not going to burn right away. It gets converted to fat. So it takes a certain number of hours of fasting, which, you know, it's like you go to sleep, right? So maybe if you eat dinner early, 5 or 6 o'clock, and you don't get up, and you don't eat again, and then you don't get up till 7 in the morning, well, that's a good 12 to 14 hour fast right there. That's long enough for growth hormone to come out, and growth hormone is what helps heal and repair. It'll go around and it helps you, helps your body to start recycling old or damaged cells. And then they actually, you know, end up using the parts and using it for energy and all these things. So that could be, you know, my body might be going into a healing mode now that I've been on this long with fasting. So, and I have heard of an experience called a healing crisis, that at some point, depending on how toxic you are or unwell, you can actually have a point where you feel worse before you start to feel better. And, you know, maybe my one meal a day was keeping me from getting to that stage. But we'll see. Like, I'm not as energized as I was yesterday, but I still feel a lot more energy and motivation than I have been, you know, prior to starting the commitment. So that's energy.
Jules and I did 6.4K this morning. My energy is actually better now than it was before the walk, and just enjoying some herbal tea. Plain herbal tea, no sugar.